Hello. Hello, hello. Well, my phone is acting funny, so these posts are going out really slow. Happy Valentine's Day, everybody. Imagine not being subbed. So, I got one out, but... let me see. Can I get the rest out, chat? And then we'll get started. Everybody get comfortable. Oh, did a Discord notification go out?
Happy Valentine's Day, Uncle P.
It did. The bot did, but I'll send another one. I'll send the personal one. Okay, let me get these posts out, and then we can. Then I'll start talking about today's stream. For some reason, it's like my phone isn't recognizing anything. I have to keep opening and closing apps to get anything to work. Actually, let's do this one last. First time in a week you've got an email notification. Keep your toothbrush off. That's right. F something Nick, thank you for the sub. Biggs, thank you for the 666. Vault 60 Overseer, thank you for the sub. Foo Dude, thank you for the sub. Tenacious Dev, thank you for the tier 1. Gallus, thank you for the sub. Lady Morwin, thank you for the tier 1. Pylonius, thank you for the sub. Spitgoth, thank you for the 31 months. Harbinger of Zul, thank you for the sub. Ava Gantz, thank you for the sub. Joloka, thank you for the sub. CJM417, thank you for the sub. Sigs Corey, thank you for the tier 1. Ice Blue, thank you for the 5 months. Welcome back. Shady Player, thank you for the sub. Connor, thank you for the tier 1. Kaibar, thank you for the sub. Twig, thank you for the 10 months. Abaddon, thank you for the sub. Zombie Killer 90, thank you for the sub. Mr. Murdoch, thank you for the 34 months. Rentrico, thank you for the sub. Dang, we got a hype train before I even started? That never happens. Toodaloo, thank you for the sub. MZ, thank you for the sub. T. Fraser, thank you for the sub. B. Tabaka, thank you for the sub. Snatemba, thank you for the tier 1. Denim Chicken, thank you for the tier 1. The Real Vulgar Phoenix, thank you for the sub. Colt Cobalt, thank you for the sub. Tito Nitrogen, welcome back. Thank you for the 2 months. Tiv52, thank you for the offline tier 1. J Pepe, thank you for the sub. Lasalwero, thank you for the sub. Welcome to my stream, you guys. Thanks so much. I'm just posting my going live notifications, and then we'll get started, and I'll talk about today's stream. As I mentioned, when I turn my camera on, I don't know what's up with my phone today, but it's not wanting to keep any apps open for some reason. So it's like taking twice as long to do this. Rayson, thank you for the tier 1. Welcome, welcome.
Happy Valentine's Day, Sasha.
Almost 3 years. The new badges are ready for the 3 years. Posted. 2 more and we're good. 2 year for you on Thursday. 3 year hype. My phone is having a Monday. I had a Monday. What badge? Done. All right, last post and we're good. Of course it closed on me. Boop. Boop. Linked. Done. Done. Ghost Fence, thank you for the sub. Navnik, thank you for the 14. Thank you so much. You know what? I'm actually going to turn off, I think, if it comes up. I'm going to turn off our donos unless we get something over that 50 today, because that really uncomfortable message we got the other day. So I don't really feel comfortable keeping that up there. But the regular alerts will still be there. We'll just put that up there. I do have a new subreddit for those of you that are new here. Check it out. r//Sasha. No, just somebody that was going through a tough time sent a dono and I refunded it the other night. Oh yeah, Quad. Sorry. Mods. Mod message chat. Yubei, thank you for the sub. Lord Gavin, thank you for the sub. Welcome to my stream, you guys. Really appreciate it. I hope they're okay too. Okay, people. What's up? Welcome. So, a much anticipated chat, okay? This is advice time. This is not a Q&A. We have been talking about this for a long time because often what happens is people come to stream and they ask a bunch of questions. Usually, as you guys that are regulars here know, usually pretty much the same question over and over, which is why we have all those commands in chat that answer common questions for people. But that's not what we're doing today. We're not doing a Q&A. I'm not talking about myself. This is about you guys, advice for you guys, since a lot of people also come into chat asking for life advice all the time. And a majority of the time, it's completely off topic, or I'm mid-game and people are spamming stuff, asking for advice, and it's just bad timing. So we're going to start with an hour and see how it goes. If we feel like we want to keep going and people keep coming in, I'll probably just keep it going. Thank you, Quad. That being said, of course, you guys can chat and ask regular questions, but as you normally do on a regular stream. That being said, the priority is going to go to people that actually have questions they would like answered and advice on. This can be all sorts of life advice, okay? And that's why it's marked 18 and up. So if you are under 18, you might want to leave the stream unless you have your parents' permission. Get your notebooks out. I'm horribly unqualified. How do I get people to stop asking for advice? And yes, I did finally beat Sekiro on Demon Bell. First playthrough. There's a clip of it. It was glorious. No help in grouting my bathroom. No help in changing your tires. I have no answer for that one, Road Jogger. No answer. Big Team, thank you for the 6 months. Christian May Cry, thank you for the sub. Succulenter, thank you for the 2 months. Welcome back. Excalibrate, thank you for the 2 months. Pre-cut Stovetop, thank you for the sub. Don Burrito, thank you for the 8 months. Thanks so much, you guys. Appreciate it. What else? Okay, Jackstraw. Proud to be the one who brought up your Sashiro persona. I dig machine. Should I move to a different hardware or software? Are we living in the Matrix? Oh, and lastly, some of you might not feel comfortable asking questions in chat, and if you would rather remain anonymous, we have done our best to make that happen. So you can DM Quad on Discord or Whisper Quad on Twitch. His DMs are open. I know a lot of you are familiar with him and comfortable with him, so anything that you pass to him will be completely confidential, and he will not tell me who asked the question. But he will pass the question to me so I can read it out loud and answer it. His DMs are always open. Let's be real. No. Jailhouse Green, thank you for the sub. Welcome to my stream. Chat can start asking. Ask away, chat. Ask away. It is time. Yep. And mods, if it gets to be that there's like a lot of good stuff coming in, feel free to put it in slow mode. That way I can go back. That way I can scroll through. And I guess the last thing I should say is, like, this is pretty, you know, we're going to be able to cover hopefully a lot of different topics. Of course, if there's something that is like completely TOS, then we're going to have to either, you know, respectfully decline to answer or do our best to answer it in a way that it can be answered in a very, in a very clinical way that will be harmless. You know, I have to say that, of course. Mr. Braindead, thank you for the tier 1. Lagmaster, thank you for the tier 1. Evan Eggleston, thank you for the tier 1. Teo Valdino, thank you for the sub. Tobias, thank you for the tier 1. Khalil, thank you for the 18 months. Thanks so much, you guys. I really appreciate it. Thank you, thank you, thank you. So, okay. Once again, you guys, this is not a Q&A about me. This is me giving you guys advice. It's about you. People come in all the time in stream asking for advice. So this is a long time coming. A lot of people have wanted to do something like this, so we're finally doing it. A Pete guy, thank you for the sub. Shago, thank you for the 11 months. Okay, I'm looking for general advice on how to approach women because I'm completely clueless. So, I feel like we're going to have definitely a lot of relationship questions. And whether we're talking about relationships or general life advice or ways to approach things in life, I don't think there's a one-size-fits-all solution to anybody's problems because there's so many factors to consider. And I think one of the biggest factors is your cultural upbringing and your current culture, where you're at and where you live. So I think the best way is to sort of, when I hear a statement like this, I'm completely clueless on how to approach women. To me, I hear, and I'm sorry if this is completely incorrect, you know what I mean? I could be wrong, but when I hear a statement like that, my mind says that you're maybe dealing with some insecurities. So there's something you're dealing with internally that is preventing you because of some insecurity and some fear that is preventing you from just biting the bullet and taking your shot. Every woman is different. Some women like some women like to be chased, you know? Some women like to have a straightforward approach. So again, there's no one size fits all. But that being said, I think the best thing you can do is find something that you enjoy, something that you're passionate about, and find people that are also interested in the same things you are. And again, cultural differences can kind of be a barrier to figuring those things out. I also think we're living in a time that is unprecedented for in our lifetimes. And what I mean by that is the pandemic. It's put a big strain on all sorts of relationships. But I would really just start with finding people that have shared the same interests as you. You know, it's stupid to chase, and I say that plainly. I think it's stupid when people chase somebody that they're interested in that has completely different values and lifestyles than they do, because you're always going to be trying to get that person to conform one way or another, and it just doesn't work. Find somebody that's interested in the same things as you. Start from there. Take it easy. And you know, if you are feeling insecure, I would say try to work on that. And it's not easy. I know things like that aren't easy. Take it day by day. Maybe this is gonna sound corny, and I know it because I don't like corny things either. So that's where I can relate with a lot of you. try keeping a journal. Try keeping a journal to check in with yourself and see how you feel, because maybe you're not actively thinking about these things throughout the day, but maybe at the end of your day, you just write down a few sentences. It doesn't have to be long. Like, this is how I feel today. This is what I want to improve on. And you're going to have shit days and you're going to have great days. But maybe it can, at the end of the week or at the end of the month, you can go back and you can reflect on, okay, this is how I feel. But if you are dealing with some insecurities that are preventing you, try working on those simultaneously, and also find people that share similar interests as you. Because at the end of the day, anybody in your life, whether it's romantic or otherwise, is always going to have a stronger relationship with you when you are at your best. People like confidence. And there are ways, even if you're an introvert, to be confident. My friend who wants to know what he should do because he's peepo shy. I need more info than that. Would you try to find your birth parents? Okay, I said this wasn't a Q&A, but I'm guessing that somebody is maybe dealing with this, that they're curious about finding their birth parents and maybe they were adopted. So I think that's fair to answer, because I understand the context of this can be very sensitive and difficult. Personally, me, I absolutely would. And that is because I am a very curious person. And in this life, this very short life, we're always searching for the unknown. And I think I would want to know. Absolutely. So if that's something that you're struggling with deciding right now, here's what I say. Again,
we shoot shots around here, Sasha. What do you like? I'm trying to take you out.
Here's what I'll say. And this goes for anything in life. And it's not to be cynical, but I would say prepare yourself for the worst. And I know that could be hard to hear, and that might make you feel like you don't want to approach a very difficult thing. But I think to sort of protect yourself emotionally, just prepare that it could go wrong, because you don't know what's ahead of you. You know, are they still alive even? Do they have another family that they're very happy with? Are they dealing with their own life situations where they are even able to have a relationship with others? So prepare yourself for the worst, but hope for the best. And don't let it consume all of your time. A little bit each day, or a little bit each week. Set yourself a reminder. If you feel like you're constantly obsessing over this thought, cut it off. Wake up tomorrow. Tomorrow is a new day. And if that's something you're dealing with, good luck. I really mean that. Jay Presto, thank you so much for the 5 gifted subs. Prime Tuca, thank you for the sub. And Jay, thank you for the 3 months, man. Welcome back. Turtleface, thank you for the tier 1. Magic, thank you for the 5. Thank you, Quad. Any thoughts on how you can stop being angry at someone? Angry like if you moved across the country with them, gave up everything you had at home, only to find out they were cheating over a year with a coworker that you now move close to. That is hard. I feel that deep, man. I feel that deep. When it comes to anger does not help anybody. And I have been there. And it is true, the old saying, time helps heal wounds. You know, I think you have the right to be angry, but I would try my best to detach myself from that person as much as possible and just sever it off. Sever it off completely and allow yourself to experience these feelings. It's natural. And know that
Who says Valentine's Day is only for lovers? It is for all the people who love and make life more wonderful, just as you, my friend. Happy Valentine's Day, Sasha.
Thank you for the 10, Mac. Thanks so much. Phoenix Null, thank you for the sub. Al, thank you for the 20 months. So, as I was saying, allow yourself to feel these things. Don't try to suppress them, obviously, but anger is natural. Just remember that it will take time. And I would say that, you know, I've been there, and I've also been there in a different aspect, and I say that when it comes to dealing with death. So time does heal wounds, and I don't know if you're ever truly, you know, these life experiences are what creates our character, and how we move on from these life experiences, whether positive or negative, will kind of make an imprint on the rest of your life. And that's a really big one. That's a life-changing thing, because that's now going to make you question every relationship you get into in the future, even with friendships. So it's tough, but you know, there's not a button that's just going to allow you to press stop on those feelings. I wish there was. You know, like, like the biblical saying, idle hands are the devil's playground. Okay? And you don't need to be religious to understand that. Occupy your time, and you will occupy your mind. So occupy your time, not just by sitting on the couch watching TV, not just by doing really passive things like that. Occupy your time, and you will occupy your mind, and it will help you not think of it. And I know in this moment it can feel like that's like easier said than done, but really occupy your time. If you're dealing with like restrictions because of COVID or whatnot, like do something tactile like Lego, or, you know, something that is going to bring that mind-body connection that will keep your mind active and moving, something positive. How do I let go of an ex? That's also a tough one. You know, I think that kind of goes in a little bit hand in hand. Although being angry and maybe like loneliness and sadness are definitely three very different feelings. But I would say for that, it's a similar situation. You've got to rediscover yourself and occupy your time, and let time pass. Don't immediately, and this applies to both of those questions, don't immediately try to jump into something else just to replace those great feelings you had before, because it never works. It never works. Odious Pariah, Nell Chinafilo, Never Ask. Thank you for the subs, you guys. Appreciate it. Tassaron, thank you for the sub. Welcome to my stream, you guys. Okay, I'm going to answer an anonymous question. I'm at a weird place in my life, and I don't know what to do, because I had a kid with a guy who was not the best choice. He's not romantic and doesn't really fit with me anymore, but he is having a hard time letting go. I just want to move on because it's best for both of us, but he won't let me go, really. How do I escape? Ugh, okay. I'm so sorry to hear that you're dealing with this situation. That's a really heavy one. And I will ask you to be very, very open-minded to the other people in your life around you, and hopefully you have other people in your life and not just that person, and speak to them, because you cannot get out of this situation alone. People that don't like to let other people go have a tendency to cut off communication with others around them or mentally abuse them into thinking that they have no other out. And this is a very common tactic in abusive relationships, whether it's mentally or physically abusive. My first advice would be to speak with somebody in your life that you can absolutely trust, that is not going to go back to that person and break your trust. And if you're having any sort of fear for your own safety or your child's safety, you've got to immediately go and file a report, and you will be denied if nothing has happened yet. You will be denied. Do not walk away. File a police report. They will probably try to persuade you not to do it because they don't like filing paperwork. And because you're probably in a very emotional state, you'll easily be persuaded by them to just turn around and try and make it work. File that report. You need something on paper. Send emails so you have a written communication with those people in your life, if you have people in your life that you can trust. And make sure your email has a new password. Change all of your passwords. Change all of your passwords. Make sure you have a paper trail of these conversations. And they can, and so they cannot see your communication with other people. There are also a lot of women's centers. If you are experiencing a situation where you feel like your safety is at risk, there are women's shelters in cities across America. Let me look up women's. So there are 3 immediate things that I can find when you look online. So there is the National Domestic Violence Hotline, thehotline.org, gnws.org. I'll paste these on Discord as well so you can have the direct links. But I would say the National Domestic Violence Hotline is the most important one. And depending on which state you live in, having a child makes this very difficult. It can make it difficult, and I don't want to dissuade you, but it can make it difficult for you to leave the state. But don't forget, that doesn't mean you don't deserve help. You deserve help, and you deserve happiness, and your child does as well. So if you're experiencing any of those things, I would really advise you to file a report, get it on paper, to have a paper trail. That is the most important thing, having a paper trail and contacting one of those hotlines. And I know that might sound extreme, but from how that is worded, I feel that this might be the best advice for you, how the question was worded. And don't forget that just because physical violence even though physical violence may have not occurred, I don't know your particular situation, psychological violence is still violence. And if somebody is trying to stop you from leaving against your will, that is violence. And I know it can be incredibly difficult because a lot of people like to separate those two things, but they're both harmful, and they're both not fun to deal with. So I wish you the best of luck. And again, I'm going to post that link on Discord, because that national hotline will take you to other resources, and it can take you to resources directly in your city. But again, I know that having a kid in the mix can definitely make it much more complicated. So really find somebody that you trust, that you know isn't gonna go break that trust, somebody that you can communicate with, and best of luck. I'm really sorry to hear that. Man Power, thank you for the 25 months. The Barnum, thank you for the sub. Chaotic Angel, thank you for the 2 months. Teobzi, thank you for the 3 months. Welcome back. Thanks, you guys. Appreciate it. And then let me just add one thing to that question, which is if I'm maybe reading into that too much, and it's not at that level yet, I still think you should speak to people and make it known that this is the choice you want to make because it's the best choice for you and your child. That way, if anything else were to occur, you still have something on record. Okay, next question. Women, especially cute women, say they want someone who's funny, smart, and nice. But why do most look me up and down first when I go to talk with them? Anonymous, please. Ooh. Okay. So, people say they want a lot of things. And a lot of people in this world are freaking delusional. I'll tell you that much. I'm sorry. I need to add some humor. And you guys feel free to be sarcastic because with the serious, we need to have some laughs, Keep us grounded. So this is something so common. Parents and teachers will try to tell us growing up, never judge a book by its cover. And really, that should be true, but that's not how the world works. People do judge based off of first appearances. And unfortunately, this world we live in that is consumed with where everyone is consumed by social media, I actually think that right now, a lot of people have an unhealthy expectation when it comes to relationships. And that goes always, all across the board, regardless of gender. And so I'll kind of say what I said to somebody earlier is like, look for people that share your similar interests. If you're into let's say video games. We're here on Twitch, right? You're into video games, don't go to a club. You know what I mean? Because usually the people that are out at a club, they have a different lifestyle or different mentality. So I think it's really about finding people that respect you for you and not looking for things in the wrong places. And maybe, like I was saying to the person earlier, rethink your approach. And if you were in Italy or France, I would say you're shit out of luck because that's just cultural. They stare nonstop, and that drives me nuts. That's a cultural thing, though. That's a total cultural thing. But I do think that here, people are, again, I blame it on social media, but I do think that people are becoming more and more like that. So yeah, look, and also, like you said, people say they want someone who's funny, smart, and nice. Like, maybe your approach is a little too try hard. I could be wrong, but maybe try going into the right situations with a very open mind, with no expectations. Because I think sometimes when you are in your zone, let's say. You're in your comfort zone. Your most positive sides will shine through. And that's what attracts people. So, you can find things when you're least expecting it. But don't forget, everybody does this, whether it's in a romantic situation or not. People always want to present their best selves, right? Like, I'm not going to come on stream without my hair done and my makeup on. I present myself a certain way. So we all have vanity, you know, some vanity to an extent, some more than others. I'm trying to fight. Is this the same person? Yeah, it is. Okay. Patches O'Houlihan, thank you for the 2 months. Welcome back. Scouse, thanks again for the sub. Anonymous, thank you for the gifted. T Murphy, welcome back. Thanks for the 3 months. I'm trying to fight to have my daughter in my life, and my daughter's mother is being very difficult. We have made a court agreement, and she's being very difficult. Okay. Oof, I'm sorry, man. So I don't know what the question is there, so I'm gonna try my best to answer this. Seems like maybe that she is not holding up her end of an agreement that was set in place by the court system, and I know how incredibly overwhelming that system can be. And unfortunately, you're probably going to have to stay incredibly strong, and you're gonna have days where you probably want to just like break down and give up. But that probably means you're going to have to take action continuously in the court system to make sure that you are able to see your kid. And those are, any court process is long and drawn out. I do think within family court, they have some sort of email communication that can be implemented if there are continuous issues. So you can actually, you should be able to find, like, not a free lawyer, but free legal services where you can meet with people that will help you better understand your rights. So I'd recommend doing that if you haven't already. And from there, if that ex is being unresponsive, there's probably this email communication that can be implemented. That way, if you have to go back to fight for your right to see your child, those communications are all in record, because a text message they can deny. You know, those types of communications aren't monitored typically by this system, so it can be monitored in this other way, and it sees when people open the mail and read it and respond to it. So I'm sorry you're dealing with that. That makes it very, very, it's emotional, man. It's draining. So I wish you the best of luck. Smurfball, thank you for the tier 1. VTech, thank you for the sub. Lulo, thank you for the 2 months. Welcome back. Oh. Okay. And just, here's what I'll say. One last thing I'll say about the thing with the kid. And this goes for anybody with kids. Don't talk shit about your ex in front of the child. No matter how much you want to and how bad of a day you've had. And if there is some manipulation happening on the other part of that person that is trying to influence your child's decisions, because I have seen that, document it. I can't stress this enough. Like, this goes for anybody that's having issues. Document it. Make sure there is a paper trail that you're expressing this to somebody. So you have your own evidence, and keep a timeline. I mean, a detailed timeline. Date, time. If it's something that your kid said, write it down. Don't, that's a very young age too. So they're very impressionable. Make sure you document it. And then again, if you're speaking with an an advisor who can help you better understand your rights, that's something that you can hopefully also ask them. My girlfriend and I recently broke up, but neither of us can stop thinking of each other. We text and call out of habit. Then we get sad that we're not going to keep trying. I think it has to end for real this time, but how do I move on, and how do I balance being friends later without being upset about the idea of them dating again? Of course, I will date again too, but in time. Yeah, that's a tough one, man, especially because it seems like there wasn't anything major that occurred that caused the breakup. And I'm sure, especially because of the pandemic, the loneliness is even heavier. And you probably had each other during that period to lean on. But I think you've got to slowly, or maybe every approach is different. And something like that, if nothing terrible happened that caused this and it just wasn't meant to be for you guys, I would say, like, you could probably be good slowly moving out of that, but it also depends on your personality and resilience. Like, could you just cut it off and let them know? Don't ghost them, but let them know, I think it's best for me if I don't speak to you for a while. And hopefully in the future we can reconnect and be real. Just say, like, this is making it harder for me to move on. And I think that's what I would do personally. If it ended amicably, if nothing led up to those experiences, I think that's your best bet with that. But it's hard. And again, like, occupy your time, man. Occupy your time with creative things, with other things that bring you happiness. And it'll keep you busy. Not thinking about it. Dragamus, thank you for the 18 months. The Kill, thank you for the tier 1. Smurf Ball Champ, thank you for the tier 1. Welcome to my stream, you guys. Appreciate it. VTech, thank you for the sub. Welcome. I don't know about Twitter's daily grind. I have no idea. Maybe ask some people on Discord. How do I create the best profile for common dating apps? Best profile for common dating apps. First photo should not be a selfie. That much I know. I would say make sure your first photo is not a selfie. And get a photo of your entire self, so you're not trying to hide anything. It's not just a close-up. And yeah, talking about smart and funny, say something witty in the headline. But good luck with dating apps, because I know right now, especially since the pandemic started, like, there are a lot of people hustling on dating apps and just trying to link you to their, you know, fan profiles, if you get my drift. Like, good luck with that. But I would say, yeah, first photo, full body picture. Second photo, maybe something more related to your interests. That can be a selfie as well. But I would refrain from putting any photos with you and other people in them until like the last slide.
Hello, Sasha. Do you remember when you starred in Eminem's music clip Space Ballad?
Run it.
What
If
was
I'm
it?
if I'm walking behind Walmart and see a bear, should I run or hide? Neither. What are your thoughts on men and women detachment to relationships? You gotta give me a little bit more to work with there, and I'd be happy to go back to that one. I'm gonna keep scrolling down for now. because we got a lot of good stuff coming in. I'm asking for a friend. My friend Joe would like to know, how should he convince our other friend, Joe, to stop being such a stick in the mud and help us accomplish our goals? Also, if you have any advice on how to stop rising inflation, Joe's all ears. I wish I had the answers for that rising inflation. I do. Yes, I do wish I did. I wish I did have that answer. How do you accomplish how to accomplish one's goals? If you're anything like me, sometimes simple things can seem very overwhelming, especially when you're dealing with your regular 9-to-5 situation. What helps me stay motivated? Because I tend to get really excited about things for a while and I put a lot of focus into them, and I could like go all night and stay up all night working on an idea. And then like a few weeks later, I'm on to the next thing. And that becomes just a vicious cycle of never actually finishing anything, right? So what really works for me is actually setting a time limit for myself. And not so much journaling, but writing a daily schedule. And then at the end of the day, when I'm done, cross out everything I accomplished. And if maybe I got half of it done, I just write a little note like, okay, I still need to do this. This is something that helps me because especially if you're working towards a really large goal, it can become so overwhelming. But if you see that, wow, I did all of this today, that can act as a motivator to keep you going. And so what happens with me sometimes is I get down on myself because I feel like I didn't accomplish enough in a day because I have unrealistic expectations of how much I should be able to do. And I work hard and quickly, and the world often does not. So I have to remind myself, okay, stop thinking about this, cut it off, stop dealing with this for today. Tomorrow's a new day. So I really do think being able to have that schedule or the things you've accomplished that day to go back and reflect on will truly act as a great motivator. Also, try talking to other people, because for me, I get really inspired when I collaborate with other people. It helps you unlock new ideas. Sometimes you need to get out of your own head. So yeah, talk to other people, even if it's online. Like whatever your goals are, look for groups that are associated, or ask for people's opinion on what you're doing and what they might do. And that could also kind of unlock a little bit more inspiration as well. I enjoy chasing. Rejection is brutal, but regret is worse. That is true. I had trouble talking with girls. Now all my friends are girls who constantly shut down my misogyny. Omega lol. Okay, we have another anonymous question. I just found out that my mother is sick and her days are numbered, and I'm really confused on what to do to deal with this. Ooh. I'm so sorry. I'm losing a parent is probably one of the roughest things you'll ever go through in your life. And a piece of you will forever be gone. Even people I've spoken to that didn't have great relationships or didn't even know one of their parents very well still felt it. My best advice would be to spend as much time as possible with her as you can. Maybe get like a little recorder, or if you don't have a recorder, use a recorder on your phone. I'm a fan of those little Zoom recorders though, because they're more reliable and you can put an SD card in them. Like listen to her stories, man, because you're gonna miss that. And you know, here's the thing that I always tell people. If there are any questions that you've always wanted to ask and you haven't done it yet, Ask those questions now. Because you won't get another chance. So whether it's about like family things, family history, or just stories, like there were stories that my dad would tell me that I would have holes in my memory of like the full story, and I would always say, man, I wish I would have asked him more about that, or I wish I had the full story down. But what I can say is make the most of the time that you have now and be there for her as much as she can. Listen to her, ask her questions about herself, you know, like make her feel comforted and loved, and record those little stories one way or another, whether it's on a recorder or like taking notes as she's talking to you. But really make the most out of that time and let her know how much she means to you. I'm really sorry. Do you think it's fair to say women should also approach men as well if they're interested? This is an ongoing conversation and an ongoing debate, right? So, typically speaking, women aren't really raised to be go-getters, go out and get them and go get what you want, right? And I was talking to a friend just last week about how the few women in their life that have been the one to initiate something all were a little sus. So on one hand, the idealist in me is like, yes, absolutely, women should, any gender, but forget subservient roles. All people should have the confidence to go out and get what they want and ask and take and shoot their shot, you know? I think the thing is we're so afraid of like the negative outcome or being let down or being turned down. That, yeah, the idealist in me would say, yeah, they should. They absolutely should. They absolutely should. But we've been conditioned over years and years and years to not take that approach, unfortunately. So I wouldn't be disappointed if you find somebody is shy in that. Is it weird that as a man, I want to be chased? I'm tired of chasing and seeking. I don't think that's weird at all. Everybody in this world wants to be loved. You know? Everybody wants to feel desired. But that relates a lot to that last question, which is that unfortunately most women have been conditioned to behave otherwise. I mean, also, you like for the dudes out there, let me just say, like, you got to think about the reverse of what women go through, which is like, if they're forward and outgoing, then they might, and they're sexual, they might be considered a slut, and they might be looked down upon by other people in their lives. You know, so there's so many cultural things that make this dynamic between romantic relationships so complicated, because it's not only that we haven't been raised to be the person that does the asking, we're also afraid of the ramifications that can be a result of that behavior as well. I've been saying this forever, but like, it's the same idea that, you know, a guy, if he's got bitches everywhere, he's cool and everyone looks up to him and it's amazing. But if it's a woman, she's a whore. Right? So I understand where you're coming from. Like I said, everybody wants to be desired, but also think on the opposite end of the spectrum. Put yourself in somebody else's shoes to understand like why our social construct is the way it is. Doesn't mean you're wrong. And I feel like that, you know, that those emotions could come, your emotions could be served better in an actual relationship. And making those things clear, you know, like emotional intelligence. Not enough people have it, but maybe if you're finally in a position where you're like, okay, I'm really into this person, and you see it going somewhere, then bring it up. I wouldn't hit somebody with that though. Like from the get, you could potentially scare people off, but I think that's something that might better serve you in an actual relationship rather than like dating. And I know that's, you're asking, it seems like more about dating. Related to the relationship stuff, my lack of confidence is usually what prevents me from seeking out a partner. Do you have advice on how to feel better about yourself? I know I'm answering this very late because I'm doing my best to answer these questions. I feel like that kind of went along with something else we were talking about earlier based on somebody else's question about self-confidence, and I think what I said to that person is like, just become keenly aware of what you're self-conscious about and work on those things little by little, you know? And I think working on yourself will make you happier. And not only that, but being able to reflect on like progress that you've made in your life. Just baby steps. We tend to really overthink things. You gotta sometimes just dial it way back and then think about how far you've come. And I also do believe in self-affirmations. Sometimes you gotta rewire the brain and trick yourself. A little raging bull, if you will. You know what I mean? Like, even on a day when you're really feeling down, like, lie to yourself. Fucking lie to yourself. Sometimes you gotta. Like, just, it's survival. And then the next day you could wake up and it's just like a completely different day and you do feel great about yourself. And count the little things. Instead of focusing on the negative, focus on the things that do make you, like, proud of who you are, proud of your character. And again, like, a big part of that is being able to deal with denial and not letting that prevent you from trying anything else in the future. She says she doesn't like corny things but loves popcorn. Lies. What should I do if my date has tilapia? Oh, dude, I don't know if you're trolling me. I don't know if you're trolling me right now. But if you're serious, God, that's so hard. Because okay, okay, two things. If you're just standing next to that person and you can smell the tilapia, that's a big problem, right? Because that means clothes on, you smell it. Oof. Oof, okay? If you can smell it when the clothes are on, be very, 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 very polite. Some people just don't know. Some people don't know that's not natural. It is not natural. It's usually a sign of something like a bacterial infection, which is very common. It's not an STD. I would very politely tell them, ask them, hey, I wouldn't even say like, hey, do you smell something weird? I would be brutally honest, but not like in front of other people, Go just say, hey, like, I noticed kind of a strange smell. I would be honest. And they might deny it. They they might get really defensive and deny it, or they just might not know. Like maybe nobody's ever told them because these are embarrassing topics to deal with. I would bring it up. If it's happening like in the middle because you don't notice it on the outside and it's happening in the middle of something, don't freak out. Don't make a big deal. Try to remain calm. And I would just say, hey, you know, I think you, dude, this is a tough one. I would write it out. First of all, like, I would write this out to know how to deal with this. I also think it depends how well you've, like, if it's a first time situation or if you've been with this person before. There's different dynamics. Like, if it was somebody that you've been with before, I would just say straight out, like, hey, there's something, your balance, your pH is a little off today. Say it like that, casually, so they don't take it too hard. Because man, that's could be so embarrassing for both sides. So I would just be honest and approach it lightly, but really tell them the truth. Like I said, some people just don't know. They can't smell it on themselves, or they're so used to it, or nobody ever told them it wasn't natural. As someone that has a lot of things going on, what do you do to remain motivated and avoid burnout? I'm not doing a Q&A. This is about you guys. But we could get back to that later if you have a more specific question. Hoodie Days, thank you for the sub. Monkey Fist, thank you for the sub. Lone Ranger, thanks for the sub. Dreon9, thank you for the sub. Benny Essen, thank you for the sub. HK997s, thank you for the tier 1. Chubix, thank you for the 333. Hype Mare, thank you for the sub. Dragamus, thank you for the 18 months. Thank you, thank you. Thanks so much, you guys. Really appreciate the support. We'll do a little quick intermission to say, not really intermission. Interlude is more like it. Rovera Rocket, thank you for the sub. Welcome to my stream. Thanks so much. We'll do a quick interlude just to say that this is our first ever sub-only stream. Been streaming for 3 years. This is the first time we're doing this. I'm reading your questions about yourselves, reading questions from chat about themselves, and giving the best advice that I can. Okay. People have been asking me to do this for a very long time, so I figured we'll dedicate a stream to it. And welcome to my stream. Also, if you're feeling, a little peepo shy, and you don't want me to see your name, or you don't want other people in chat to see your name, you can DM Quad on Discord or whisper him on Twitch, and he will anonymously send me your question. So I won't see who it is if that is something that you're struggling with. So there are other ways. Of course, he will see your name, but, he's not going to reveal that to me. We're going to respect everyone's privacy if they don't wish to be public here. And yes, no, I am not a licensed therapist. I think my chat kind of burped, so I'm sorry if I skip anything. Somebody else said my friend is kind of smelly. I think girls don't like that. Do I tell him? Yeah, man. And again, like with the other thing, which is a little bit more on the romantic side, but I would definitely tell them, some people actually, they suffer from this, and it could be so many different things. They could have an illness. They could have just poor hygiene. They can have overactive sweat glands, and that makes it really difficult to deal with. So they might be really self-conscious about it. So I would just say, hey, I feel like you're a little bit off. Like, have you thought about, have you noticed that? Present it as a question so they can kind of discuss that with you. Mr. Miklos, thank you for the 14 months. Okay, I'm going to scroll through. Who do I look for? Who do I look to? Who do I look to for advice with no father? Oh, wow. That's a tough one. Especially, and I don't mean to make this any more difficult for you, but like my dad was the person I went to for advice. So I think in familial situations where one parent is not present, that always changes you, that marks your personality. So I think it's really great that you're curious about this and you're being proactive about it. I think that's a really positive thing. I'm going to give actually similar advice to what I said with people trying to overcome other situations, which is like, look for things that inspire you and that you're passionate about, interests that you have, and then try and actualize. For this, it's different. I would try to actualize those things IRL in a very proactive way. So whether it's like, you know, a sport or something. Before COVID, they were starting to have like actual video game places where people could like go and game, like a bar, but a video game center where people could just go and game. And I thought that was so cool. You know, if you're, depending on how old you are, maybe if you're in school or if you're in college, like you can find a counselor. And that's not to say like a therapist. I know some people are really turned off by that idea, but you can find other people to confide in, and hopefully they can also point you in the right direction. And you never know, they might like end up being that surrogate for you. But I really wish you the best of luck. And I think it's really, really great that you're recognizing this, because unfortunately, and we've probably all seen it, there are people that are lacking a parental figure, and they might make bad choices in life because they're seeking out that piece of them that is missing. And also, count your blessings, you know? Like, we have the gratitude channel on Discord just for this. Like, think about all the other great things in your life as well. But I do understand that, like, that parental influence is extremely important. So I do wish you the best of luck. And again, I think it's great that you're recognizing that. Grumpy Soldier Gaming, thank you for the sub. Mimo Bimo, thank you for the sub. Optimus Crime, thank you for the gifted. Welcome, you guys. Appreciate it. Wow, Mage. I wish you best of luck. I think they just... I don't know why that... Oh, it got deleted for the link, but okay. I see now. I'm way back, so I'm gonna try and scroll through some of these things. Massive spider. Ooh, no. I make constant comments in chat. Am I dealing with insecurity? No. That keeps it fun. Oh my god. I say time doesn't heal pain, but it definitely makes it more bearable. But losing somebody leaves a permanent hole in your life. Absolutely. Any input dealing with overanalysis. I find myself in my head a lot, playing out possible scenarios and or outcomes. This extends to all areas of my life, work, school, relationships. I can't tell you the amount of time that I've been stuck staring at my ceiling, not being able to sleep because the wheels of my brain keep spinning. Exercise. I've been there. I've been there, man. Physical activity. Physical exercise. tire your body out. And even then, with your overactive brain, you're still going to have days that it's like, nope, I don't care how tired your body is. I'm going to keep you up thinking about these things. Yeah, that's a really tough one. But I do think two things: physical exercise, getting out there and moving your body, tiring yourself out. Do it earlier in the day if you can. If you can't, still get it in. Like, force yourself, even if it's only 30 minutes. Do that physical activity. And also, again, I go back to this, but a lot of these topics we're going over have to do with like just a lot of deep feelings and emotions that continue to arise because they're fresh emotions and fresh experiences. But occupy yourself like with something that is going to stop you from thinking of this. So if you're, again, like I use this example, if you're just sitting on the couch watching TV, those thoughts are going to keep popping up in your mind and distracting you. So instead, do something else to occupy that time. And then coupled with that physical activity, I know it's not like the end all be all, one size fits all solution, but I think especially on those high stress days, keep yourself busy physically and mentally. Keep your mind occupied in other spaces. Keep yourself busy. Hindog, thank you for the sub. Welcome to my stream. Thank you so much. It's been about a month that my ex and I broke up. I've yet to even think about talking or dating to someone. Yet my ex started dating someone within a week. They told me, how can I deal with it without being negative towards myself? So when you say without being negative toward yourself, I'm going to go back and say, to me, that sounds like you're possibly dealing with some insecurity or self-confidence issues. And that's completely normal, especially when you're dealing with highly emotional situations like this where you're hurting. But again, I'll kind of go back to what I said earlier with somebody else that's dealing with like the anger of somebody cheating on them. Focus on your strengths and maybe record them so you can reflect on them, and focus on bettering yourself. Like, what is something that you've wanted to do but you feel like you haven't had the time to do, or because you were in a relationship, you were putting all your time into that person, so you lost your own identity by putting yourself too much into this situation instead of remaining independent. And I think that's the mistake that a lot of people do early on in relationships, is they get glued because they're in that quote unquote honeymoon phase where everything is fresh and exciting, and they forget about those things that make them happy. So I think just, take it day by day. That's a hard one to deal with. I would, if you're following this person on social media, don't follow them. Mute them. If you don't want to do that, mute them. So you're not seeing these things. You're not bringing up these constant reminders or questioning your own self-worth. And again, because we live in such a social media driven society, it's so easy to get lost in that just endless cycle of looking at these things and reminding yourself of what you don't have. But don't let it stop you, and like, take your time. You don't need to go out, just go hook up with somebody. Like, go get out. You know what I mean? Sometimes that is the solution. Be safe though. Use protection. But really focus on your strengths and write them down. Reflect on them later. Think about the things you want to improve on and make notes about your own progress. I punched the dark. Occupy my time. I used to have school to do that, but depression kind of 86 that. Now I'm all idle. Dude, that's like, again, not a therapist. Don't have all the answers. And I know when somebody else is giving you a recommendation for something that can hopefully improve your situation. It seems so easy coming from another person's mouth. I get that. And something that I would once again recommend is if you're at that point where you're feeling so low that you can't even find the motivation to do something that once brought you happiness that no longer does, that's pretty deep set. And so I would really recommend starting with not even baby steps, ant steps, okay? Really small steps. And my first piece of advice would be to go out and get some vitamin D. Take a walk. I don't care if it's raining. I don't care if it's anything. I don't care if you slept all day and didn't shower. At some point during that day, doesn't matter when, go for a 10-minute walk. Like just that little thing. And build a habit. And hopefully talk to other people. And I know that in this country, it's very hard to find that support with the lack of any real healthcare system that is affordable for everyone. All right, Anthracene. Oh, that was a while ago. Sorry. I struggle with separating other people's emotions from my own, and albeit I understand that my emotions are my own, but it seems like no matter what, I just take on another's emotion, and it is so tiring. I have done therapy, but what is your advice, if any? You're a deep empath, my friend. Yeah. That's a tough one. That's a really tough one. I don't know if I have like a black and white advice for that, but I've definitely been there where I've allowed other people's issues to occupy a lot of my time because I truly care. I truly cared, and I want the best for people, and I want people to be strong and healthy. And not only that, but a lot of people also come to me with these things on top of it. I would say to do your best when you find yourself going into that direction of maybe thinking about somebody else's emotions too much. Check yourself. Like, again, the physical act of like writing something down, it connects to your mind in a different way than just keep thinking about it and letting it sit in your brain. But really try to check yourself. Maybe you've spent 3 hours on the phone with this person, or in text, or on Discord, or in a DM, like dealing with it, and then you're still, you're taking your time to try and help and make this person feel better, or maybe just obsessing over these thoughts. I would say try and look at how much time you have spent doing that. And that could kind of serve as a reality check to say, like, You could have spent that time like actually going down and volunteering at a soup kitchen to people that don't even have food. You know, like little things like that kind of kick yourself. A little bit of a reality check. I know I personally struggled with this situation with all sorts of people in my life. And what I had to start to do was become a little bit more analytical about the relationships and say to myself, like, would this person, and I don't know your situation, like maybe people aren't necessarily like constantly bombarding you, but my situation, like, people would tell me their problem and then I would like try to find the solution and help them out and like spend all this time researching stuff and getting, you know, making sure they were okay. And I started to realize, like, did those people value the relationship the same way I value the relationship? And a lot of times they did not. And I realized, and I said it to somebody else, and they said, that's a cold point of view. And I said, yeah, but relationships are not a one-way street. So, like, how could your time have been better spent? And you got to reflect on that. And again, like with everything we're talking about, you're going to have your good days and your bad days. I feel like I've got much better over the past few years because I started to check myself and realize, like, I don't like relationships that are like based on what can you do for me and what will I do for you. I hate that. I really do. But sometimes you know, I do things for people out of the good of my heart, not because I expect anything in return. But sometimes you need that honest reflection, that analyzation even, to sit and say, like, okay, this is a one-way relationship. So I kind of jumped around with that, but I hope there's something helpful there. I'm going to copy this one and go back to it because I feel like this is going to be... We're getting a kind of similar questions, but all equally phrased different. So I'm going to copy pasta that. Chromaberation, thank you for the tier 1. Chef, thank you for the tier 1. Experiment, thank you for the 14 months. FamF, thank you for the sub. Welcome to my stream. Thanks so much, you guys. That's hard, finding, you know, living in a place where not a lot of people share similar interests. That's definitely tough. All right, what if you do that? This is the old question because I've been giving lengthy answers. What if you do that and the communities you include yourselves in are not places that attract the type of people that you're attracted to? I don't want to exclude. That sounds... I could be wrong. That sounds kind of vain. Sounds a little bit like you mean attracted to in a vain way. I could be wrong. I'm sorry if I am. But as I said at the start, there's no one size fits all for this advice. You have to think, you know, everybody's situation is unique. But I can actually also relate to that. Then I would recommend doing the polar opposite. Like, sometimes you got to do the exact opposite of what you think you might do. Take some chances. If it's not in your nature to be super outgoing, just try it. Don't be afraid. Try it once. Go do something the exact opposite of what you might regularly do, and you might be pleasantly surprised. I struggled for a while with coming to terms with the fact that I might be asexual. I want a relationship, but when it comes to sex, it's hard to explain what I was feeling. My first couple girlfriends felt that I was lying to them, and it ended badly. After a while, I tried being honest up front, but it's a difficult subject to bring up in a new potential relationship. Any advice for approaching this, because I hate the idea of waiting too long and risk hurting someone? I think that's totally... I think that's an incredibly responsible thing to do. Bring it up early. That is emotionally intelligent. That is an emotionally intelligent decision. And I think that is the right one. I wouldn't bring it up like in the first, let's say you're going on a date or just hang out, something casual, maybe like the first 2 times. But I would say like within the 3rd or 4th time that you're meeting this person, to make it clear. And understand that it you know, might take time, and you might, sorry, I was getting distracted by something. It might take time, and it might take a lot of work, and it might hurt and become exhausting to constantly have to start that again. But I think that asexuality is a topic that more and more people are actually speaking about now, which is a good thing. And there's less stigma surrounding it. So, yeah, I would definitely bring it up early on. And sometimes, you know, maybe if you're feeling a little nervous about talking about it, present it as a question. Present it as a question and say, what do you think about this? You know, that way you're not like divulging everything about yourself all at once, and you're not putting too much pressure on either side. But present it as a question and kind of see how they react to it, and then kind of take it from there. And maybe not in that same day or in that same conversation, but later on you could then bring it up again, right? Kind of like test the waters, see how they react to it, and then bring it up again. And, you know, depending on how they reacted to it, if they reacted positively, you could say, well, you know, that conversation we had, I think this is how I am. And I want to be real with you that this is how I feel before we keep seeing each other, because I don't want to waste either of our time. If they reacted negatively, I would probably just deal with it in a more short way. Like, hey, yeah, I don't think it's going to work out, and is what it is. And both people should be adult enough to accept that. Where do the Anon messages go? If you would like to send an anonymous question, you can DM Quad or whisper him, and I will not see the names. Yes, he will see it, but he is our barrier. And I know a lot of people have trust in Quad, so he is our barrier to allow us to have some anonymous questions tonight. I kind of hate myself. What's up with that? Well, we've talked a lot about self-confidence and insecurities tonight. And because this has been brought up tonight already, if you're also dealing with any sort of depression or mental health issues, that compounds those feelings. And I don't think any of us need to be a therapist to know that can really set in and create more issues if you're already struggling with mental health. So man, I would say again, find little things. Dude, you're funny. Like, work with that. Like, find little things that bring you happiness step by step, day by day. They don't need to be major. We all have like these we like have so many unrealistic expectations that things in our lives will change overnight, and they just won't. And sometimes that takes like daily reminders. But start with little things. Write it down. Write down the small things that bring you some tiny bit of happiness. Even if it's something that, like, I kind of touched on this earlier. Even if it's something that used to make you happy but doesn't anymore. Recognize that and feel it. And then go back and think of little things. Think of little itty bitty things. Lie to yourself. Self-affirmation. Lie to yourself. Get yourself up and lie to yourself. And then you're going to have that day where, man, it's a fucking great day and I actually believe this about myself. And then the next day you might feel shit again. It can happen. But, like, keep it going. Some sort of... I think a common thing that I've seen with others and that I've experienced is that some kind of routine is incredibly helpful. So even if that routine is just jotting down a little thing that makes you happy, one sentence, keep it short, and then add to it, can change your perspective. Eric Corvinus, thank you for the 5 gifted subs. Thank you so much. Renegade, thank you for the tier 1. Hilicus, thank you for the sub. Ed, thank you for the tier 1. 70s fan, thank you for the tier 1. Thanks so much, you guys. Really appreciate it. I'm going to go to the bathroom really quickly because I've been sitting here holding it for a while. And then we're going to get back to your questions. If you guys do have anything that you want me to talk about and give advice on, that's what we're doing tonight. It's not a Q&A about me. It's a advice night for you guys. It's about you. And if you want to ask something anonymously where you don't want me to see your name and you don't want chat to see your name, DM or whisper quad. I'll be right back. All right, we're back. Sorry guys, but we've been on for almost 2 hours and I'm like an hour behind on reading questions because we are, I'm taking a lot of time to answer these. So I'm sorry in advance if I skip anybody because, like, we're talking about the dating app pictures, like those are the comments. So at what point should someone give up? For example, I haven't been in a relationship for over a decade and not due to a lack of trying, and all you get is constant rejection. that's also a tough one, man. I would say ask yourself, like, what do you want? What do you really want that will bring you happiness? Not relationships aren't for everybody. That's not going to bring everybody happiness. Even if you're lonely, a relationship won't always fix those feelings. But if that is something you truly know you want, I would say one of two things. Stop trying. Like, for a minute, just stop trying. Because, again, maybe your approach is too try hard, and that can be a turnoff for a lot of people. Sometimes you find things when you're least looking for it. Maybe focus more on yourself and your own self-worth and happiness. And something can come along when you least expect it, because you've sort of found yourself again. Or complete 180, completely rethink your approach and try something you haven't tried before when you're out there. Long-time listener, first-time caller. I think it might be in a cold. They keep telling me it's not a cold, but I feel it's a cold. I keep saying to me how to cook special dishes, which may or may not be poisoning me against my normal consumption. A cup of noodles and hot dogs slathered in mayo. How do I know if I'm in a cold? Thank you for the laughs. We gotta keep grounded, everybody. I'm gonna read some of the funny and funny comments and sarcastic comments just to keep this, you know, not. We're going through some heavy topics, so sometimes we need a little break with some laughter. Should I DM her Happy Valentine's Day? If it's just a friend and you want it to be more, no. Don't use your current emotional state whatsoever. Could go terribly wrong. If it's somebody that you've been speaking with and it's potentially going somewhere, sure, why not? Yeah, I'm turning that off. Dude, your name might be funny because your name is that of 12-year-old humor, but I'm turning that off till we get another sub. Also, friendly reminder that Twitch is now like deciding to actually take action on names that violate TOS, so you might want to change that. If there weren't rules, I really probably would not care about your name whatsoever, but there's rules, so we have to follow them. So this is a heavy one, you guys. I'm actually going to say trigger warning on this one because it might be a very sensitive topic for some of you. So the trigger warning for this next question is suicide. So if this is really something you're not comfortable with, please, mute the stream for a little bit. My brother, a retired Marine, committed suicide the day before Thanksgiving. And on top of that, okay, 2 kids, good job. On top of that, grandmother passed away 2 days later. 2 family friends passed the next week from COVID. My dad's sister was diagnosed with ALS a week later, and I was told I had edema of the eyes about 2 weeks ago. I've had the vision of a 90-year-old. Dad has never been big on expressing feelings, and as shelled up mom is a wreck. How do you move on from that? That is a lot to deal with, and I am so sorry for your loss. I myself lost 3 people that were really important to me in 2021. It was a hell of a year. And I know people like to say, you know, when somebody is talking about hard things that they're going through, don't talk about yourself. I'm telling you this not because I want to hear myself talk. I'm telling you this because I can, without a doubt, totally understand with what you're going through. So I want you to know that. I'm really sorry. Dude, last year sucked for me. Really. How to get through that, man, it's just going to take time. And it's going to come it'll probably hit you in extreme ways. Really extreme ups and downs dealing with this, because it's just like one thing after another, and you probably feel like you can't get a break right now. I don't know if there is a way to actually move on from dealing with all this loss, especially all hitting you all at once, and dealing with your own personal health issues on top of that just makes it that much more complicated. But if I were you, I would try to, you know, if you can't talk to your parents, try to talk to somebody else in your life. Try joining another, like, look up. As bad as the internet can be, I think there are really positive things. You can find other people that are in your situation in terms of your own health issues, and like ask for advice, how other people are coping, and maybe try your best to focus on your own health in this moment, which is going to be really difficult. I know it is, but really focus on yourself. I think, again, going back to occupying your time, occupy your time and your mind as best as possible. And it's okay to have bad days. Like, remember that. Nobody is 100% perfect. Nobody has only good days. I'm really sorry. And you know, speak with your mom. Like, just try being there for her too. You know, maybe she doesn't know how to reach out. And maybe if your dad is closed off, she could be feeling even more alone right now. So maybe you guys could kind of be a rock for each other as well. One more detachment thing. Would you say that men or women are more prone to cut off relationships, not caring about the other's feelings and not giving any reason whatsoever? So based on gender, does one side cut off relationships more than the other? I don't know, man. Like, I think I've seen this go both ways. And I think with our, like, mini computers always with us, with our phones always with us, people are now, like, ghosting more than ever. And it's easier to, like, just move on through a text message than actually dealing with things face to face. People really use that as a scapegoat, just having the phone with them. But I've seen it go both ways. Like, you ever been in the middle of a lesbian drama? I don't know if it's gender based. I think that both can equally be bad. Yeah, I don't think it's gender based whatsoever. I think maybe from a superficial point of view, you could think that men might be this way just because women tend to be more emotional. But sometimes I'm like, I've seen women do this too, where they're trying to save face and they're trying to save themselves. But it's I think it's about how you deal with that rejection and that unknown. Like, why? What did I do? You gotta just, like, try to sever those negative thoughts in your head and, like, just move onward and upward. Somebody that doesn't have the respect for you to tell you what it really is doesn't deserve your time, in my opinion.
Solid stream.
Someone DM'd you Happy Valentine's Day, but we never went on a date or anything. Should I take it as a sign of interest? I would say lightly. Yes, but lightly. Don't get too excited. Don't use that as an immediate way to like jump in and get too excited. Sometimes too much eagerness can also be a turnoff. Like there's a fine line and a balance, but I would consider that like your open door to initiate maybe going out. But again, like stay calm about it. Okay, you guys, I'm too sexy for New York, Milan, and Japan. Where should I live? I heard somebody clown someone the other day and said, in LA, you're a 5. Come to LA. Okay, I'm gonna scroll down. I'm really behind on stuff, you guys. I'm just gonna I'm not even gonna look, okay? I'm gonna do like the finger pointing on the globe thing and scroll down and stop. I'm gonna stop now. 8:30, that's still 30 minutes behind. I'm gonna go a little bit more. Here we go, 15 minutes ago. Any advice after making a bad first impression? I met someone who was trying to be friendly with me, maybe even flirting. I completely missed it and I didn't reciprocate. Now all I get are simple hellos. So you might be a socially awkward person and that's completely fine. I am too. This is where I would actually use a phone to your advantage. And I think this is totally fair because of the world we live in. Maybe just try texting them and kind of see what you get from there. And without context, it's kind of hard to know more. Like, was this like how you met the person, where it was? But it, you know, maybe they were flirting, maybe they weren't. Just ask them straight up, hey, like, maybe start just asking them, are you in a relationship? That way it gives you a little buffer room. So if they are, then you can just, okay, I don't need to continue that conversation. And if they're not, that kind of opens the door to then be able to say like, oh, you know, you want to get to know each other more. Or do it on the phone. Do it in a text or DM. How do I get out of a negative codependent relationship when I no longer love my partner and they depend on me? Wow, that's rough, man. I'm gonna go back to emotional intelligence. You have to be able to have these conversations with people in your life especially if it's somebody that you're like committed to and in a relationship with. And unfortunately, like the longer you prolong those conversations, the longer it takes to have them. And in your situation, it sounds like you've never had them. But I would sit them down and have a real talk and let them know how you feel, because there is no sense in staying in a relationship that is making you unhappy and that isn't fulfilling. And I think at a certain point, if it's that level of codependency, that is a situation where I might even cut off all ties of communication. Like once it's done, not all at once, obviously, but like once you've made that break, I would make that as clean as possible. Because if you don't, and that codependency is so deep set, it will be harder and harder to move on for them and for yourself, because you're going to continuously find yourself in that position of answering to them. Can we get Wormy's advice? Okay. Sam Buell, thank you for the sub. Dismissal, thank you for the sub. Sensei Disciple, thank you for the 333. Thanks very much. Really appreciate it. Raisiny, thank you for the 3 months. Welcome back. Jaquillia, thank you for the 30 months. Oh, I can turn this back on now. We got new ones. No more TOS names. Okay, we have some anonymous questions. Let's get back to an anonymous question. Ooh, okay. This is the 18 plus stream, you guys. Don't forget that. I'm gonna rephrase the question, so just to be as clinical as possible. So I hope you recognize your question. I'm interested in, this person's question is that they're interested in a group situation, and a majority, and something that was planned, more than half of the people backed out. How do I make people more comfortable? The last time I tried this, I set it up a month in advance. That's a hard one, man, because you're trying to operate in a world where like these things are just socially so unacceptable. I don't feel that way. I feel like as long as you're respecting other people's wishes and everything is consensual, there should be no problem. So from one human being to another, absolutely nothing wrong with wanting those things, but just keep in mind that like this is just the world we live in. It isn't very difficult to navigate that world. What I would recommend actually though is perhaps finding other groups of people that are reputable. There are numerous resources that you can find online, but don't forget it is the internet and people can still catfish, people can still be fake, people can still be scammers. But that kind of situation that you're looking for, especially in heterosexual dynamics, is so difficult. And more often than not, there are more men that want things, that are interested in these type of situations, than women. So it also creates this really odd dynamic between people, and a lack of balance. So again, maybe I would seek out, like, you know, safe group situations and find online communities, because when you do find that community, you will find that these communities tend to be some more of the more respectable and honest people that you'll ever meet in your life. So good luck with that. Be safe. Be very safe, please. Use protection. Don't do anything ridiculous. I mean, you know, fun ridiculous, as long as everyone's agreeing to it. But like I said, that can get so complicated, man. And you're gonna have a lot of failures, especially right now, COVID time, pandemic times. Like, that makes it even more difficult. Sarscastic, thank you for the 9 months. Ice Mocha, thank you for the biddies. Castrot, thank you for the sub. Thanks so much, you guys. Appreciate it. Hi, Sasha. I'm a 20-year-old guy with MS. It collapsed my life. I used to hit the gym and be overall a really healthy guy. I had to stop college, lost my health and my sexual life due to the disease, and got dumped by the girl I was planning a future with. I'm constantly... Okay, sorry guys. Trigger warning about suicide. I'm thinking about suicide, and I couldn't stop thinking about how wonderful my life could have been if I hadn't developed this disease. I'm so sorry, man. That is really life-changing. That's a life-changing diagnosis. That is similar to another comment we got about, you know, like somebody losing people in their lives. Sometimes life just hits us with the most ridiculous things that feel so unfair. And it can bring you to this mentality. I'm really sorry. I would, first and foremost, we did have something like this happen the other day, completely unrelated to the stream. We were just playing games, but somebody did come in feeling a certain way. My first advice would be to call a national suicide hotline. And in America, that phone number is 1-800-273-8255. But I'm glad you're reaching out and like talking to people about this, even if it's on the internet, even if like we don't actually know each other. I would recommend calling that phone number, because there are people that are trained to listen to people that are going through really difficult times and probably have better answers than I do. But from the bottom of my heart, all I can say about your specific situation is that once again, I'm glad you're reaching out and like getting this off of your chest. If you have the means, I would definitely look into trying to find a therapist to speak to, and I think that's going to be your rock. A lot of people culturally don't believe in therapy. I say that, and I say search for that as an immediate option, and hopefully your actual physicians are also recommending you do that, because you're going through, again, a life-changing situation. And if you, I don't know where you live, but if you have free healthcare, you should have free mental health care as well. If you don't have free healthcare and you are seeking this out, I would definitely try calling places, because there are a lot of places that take sliding scale payments. Meaning, even if their rate on the internet shows a fixed amount per hour for a therapy session, there are a lot of people, especially right now due to the pandemic, that will slide their scale and offer you a lower rate to try and accommodate for people that simply don't have the budget. But I hope that you can find little things to make your day brighter. That's a really tough one. That's hard too, because if you're used to being so physical and that's taken, that is your extracurricular activity in life and that's taken away from you, and that was a big part of your identity, that just adds another layer of difficulty when it comes to this. I actually have had a friend that went through not MS, but something else drastic that really, for a period of time, ruined their life, but they were able to overcome that. So, you know, you might not be able to use your physicality in the same way that you used to, but think about your other qualities and focus in on those things. And this sounds so cheesy. I know it does. And I know that, like, when you're going through rough things and somebody gives you advice, it can sound just, it can make you angry. I've been in that place where somebody says something that seems obvious and just makes me angry because I feel like they can't relate to how I'm feeling, so they don't know. And I don't know what it's like to be in your position. I don't. But what I do know is that those people in your life don't want you to give up. And that person that dumped you, screw her. Not literally. But that being said, I'm just trying to make you laugh a little bit. You know, find something else that brings you joy, and it might take time. You might not find it right away. Hopefully you can also find other people to talk to that are going through what you're going through and find that sense of belonging, because I think a support group, no matter what you're going through in life, really can make a huge difference into bringing you a positive outcome. So best of luck. Okay, guys, I'm a little bit behind on comments again, so let me scroll through a little bit. I'm sorry, Odious, that does suck. Okay, let's go to, I'm gonna scroll through a little bit. Okay, let's do another anonymous question. Hi, I'm married, but my wife has left me because I'm addicted to Lost Ark. Okay, we needed some troll. We needed some sarcasm. We needed to laugh a little bit. All right, on to the next question. Is it wrong for a creator? I'm gonna censor this word. Is it wrong for a creator to say I love you and to try and make their subscribers fall in love with them? Is the subscriber to blame, or is this behavior wrong to begin with? This is a topic that we are going to discuss more and more in the coming years because of social media. Okay? This is called an attempt at a parasocial relationship. There is on one side of me, and we've talked about this on stream in deep ways and in casual ways. We talked about it with Dr. K. Like, there is a reason that I personally, when I am streaming, do not say to you guys, to everybody that's watching, hey friends, hey besties, love you. I don't do that because I don't think it's healthy. Even though, like, there will be days where I don't stream for a few days and I do miss it. I miss the interaction because I like what I do. I appreciate everybody that supports me and allows me to keep creating content and supports the stream. And it is a positive feeling that I get. And it does make me happy. And it makes me happy that I can make you guys happy. Those are real feelings. But I don't want to cross that very fine line by calling people my best friends that are not. And I think this has become so normalized in social media, where today anybody can be a content creator with the tap of a button. And some are great at it, some are awful at it, but they just get a few people that are like sucked into them and they feed into that. I'm not comfortable with that personally. But I also understand that fans, and some people don't mind being called fans, other people, that kind of bothers them. That idea bothers them. Supporters, let's call them supporters. I also understand that, like, both sides, me on the screen and you behind the screen, both sides want to feel appreciated. So it's a really fine line. So how do I find ways to constantly like reinforce this idea that I'm very appreciative without calling people besties or telling people that I love them? I've got love for you guys. I don't love you guys. It's again a very fine line. So that being said, is it wrong for somebody to get someone to fall in love with them? I can't answer that for you. Because then there's the other side of me that says we are living in unprecedented times. The socioeconomic gap between those who have a lot and those who don't have a lot is getting wider and wider by the day. Especially in this country, there is nothing fair. It is eye for an eye. Everyone against each other. So then there's that little part of me that says, well, that's their business. And they have found that by doing their business in this way, they can succeed. I think there are worse things in life than what that person is doing. I don't agree with it necessarily, but that you have to figure that out for yourself. Like, do you want to keep playing along and you don't care and you just want that content? Just ignore him. Just like, yeah, I'll pay for your content, but I don't want to talk to you in this way. You know, like you also have the right to create those boundaries for yourself. But is it wrong? It's hard to say that something is wrong just because there is sex attached to it, in which your case there is. When everybody that creates content is participating in this one way or another. You know what I mean? So I think it becomes more complicated when that aspect is attached to it. And some people try to take like a higher moral ground. But everybody from YouTubers and TikTokers and everything in between do this, approach their fan bases this way. And not everybody, right? Some people separate the two. And some people play into it. And what I'm saying is, I rambled a little bit there. But what I'm saying is that regardless of the industry of people, a lot of people practice this. So it's hard to say that it's wrong for one group of people when all sorts of groups of people are also doing it. And it's not criticized typically in those other groups. You know what I mean? So it's hard for me to judge that situation because I also think it could be considered unfair from that perspective. The Cheese, thank you for the 2 months. Welcome back. I come from an evangelical Christian family, and for the last decade, I've slowly distanced myself farther and farther from them since I realized I didn't believe in the same things as them, and I'm an atheist. I've never told any of them this, and it's always extremely uncomfortable for me around the holidays, which is the only time I see them. Do I tell them even though I know it'll be devastating for my mom, or do I keep it to myself? That's a tough one, man. Like, I'm a proponent in trying and believe, like trying to get people come around. Because it sounds like to me, you don't want to sever a relationship. It's just like you don't have a lot in common. So it puts a strain on the relationship. I think it's worth a shot. And what's the worst that can happen? Like you seem independent. You're living on your own. They're not like responsible for your life anymore. It seems like you're an adult. So I would say it's definitely worth having that conversation and to say like, you know, can we not address these things when we're together? Can we just enjoy each other's company? Could be really the best approach, but also letting them know like this is who you are. And I understand because one half of my family is Catholic. I understand that it can be a heavy burden too sometimes when somebody is very overtly religious and they continue to put the pressure on you with certain topics. So I do think it's, you know, within your right to say, this doesn't make me feel comfortable and I would appreciate it if you don't bring these things up because I don't believe in it. And that's fine if you believe in it, but that's not for me. And so to enjoy each other's time, can we please not discuss these things? Because I just don't agree and I don't want to argue. You know, sometimes it's okay, especially like when you're trying to preserve that familial relationship. It's in your right to set those boundaries. Sasha, I'm competing with 2,000 guys and girls for this one girl's attention. Should I quit? The girl's name starts with Pokey, asking for a friend. Good luck. Thank you for the humor. How far back am I? I'm still like 15 minutes behind. If you guys just joined, this is my first ever sub-only stream, and it is advice time. So people come into chat all the time, off topic when we're playing games or doing reactions, always asking for advice. So I figured, why not do something just for you guys, since it comes up all the time. First ever sub-only stream, and taking your questions about yourselves and giving advice as best as possible. Obviously, I'm not a therapist. Trying to use my own life experience to give you the best advice that I see fit in the best way that I can, and bring some sense of community along with it. Mac, thank you for the raid. What's up, raiders? Welcome, welcome. Thank you for that raid. A guitar player friend of mine lost most of his left hand.
Please, if you are going through tough times and
Pause.
feel like you need someone to talk to, please call the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline at 800-273-8255. We need you here.
Thank you, Carizy. Thank you so much. And you know what? Since that's a heavier one, I'm just going to repeat that. Like, we dealt with an incident the other day, and then a few people feeling down in chat today. I know that the thought of reaching out to a hotline to people that don't know you can feel pointless. I get it. But a majority of the people that answer the phone really truly care, and they are trained to be there for you. And sometimes it's really the lack of a support system and going in your own head and staying in your own thoughts alone that can continue to make you feel down. But truly reach out to them even if you're thinking about it. A guitar player friend of mine lost most of his left hand in an accident. Eventually, he figured out a way he could still play the slide guitar. He was one of the most positive people I've ever met. That's beautiful. So I have been single for a while due to having enough on my own plate for now. But I am kind to the married woman but I am kind to the married women around me. But lately, some seem weirded out for my actions going above their husbands. Like a small, nice birthday gift where she did not get anything from her husband. But it leaves me wondering how I'd prevent them misunderstanding my friendly intentions. Ooh. This sounds like this could be a case of caring too much about what other people think of you and overanalyzing a situation. You know, I have friends that are super outgoing. Super, like so outgoing you can't even believe they exist as humans. And they're so pure in their like joy for people and social situations and in life. And I'm talking about men, women, everything in between. And there can be times where that makes other people feel uncomfortable because they're dealing with their own insecurities. So if you're starting to feel like, I mean, one, like I said, you might be overanalyzing the situation. But it is weird that you got something that the husband didn't. That's just weird altogether. Unless they have some arrangement you don't know about, right? Like, who cares about gifts? They could have that arrangement. You never know. But if you're picking up on some vibe and you really feel that that's real, and they or one of them has kind of hinted at this is a little bit too heavy-handed, maybe just take a step back. You know? You might be that kind of outgoing person, but I prefer to stay drama-free, for instance. I would just take a slight step back from that situation and let them figure it out. You know? Go back to focusing on your own stuff and other people in your life. And if anything else comes up as a result of that, like, just be real with them. I don't think there's anything to worry about unless you are feeling that way and you're like, ooh, I'm catching feelings. I would say, cut it off. You don't want to be on the other side of that. Don't do it. Could you address parasocial relationships as they relate to Twitch? I think that kind of went pretty, like, the stuff I was saying pretty much nailed. I feel like I pretty much nailed it with that other question that came up right before this one. The only thing that I'll add in addition to that is that when we did talk about this on stream before, something that came up was, what if this is the future? Right? What if this is the future of relationships? We don't know. Think about all the things that your parents or grandparents considered crazy because they just didn't keep up with the times. And these were things that we grew up with that were completely normal to us. What if this is the future? That's even more trippy to think about. Even think this is like something that I don't know why. Maybe it's just like because of the novels I've read in my life. But like when I think about dueling, like it was normal to duel only 100 years ago if somebody disrespected you. Right? So that sounds absurd to us. Because we've evolved as human beings. Just as maybe these parasocial relationships that we're seeing grow, we're thinking into the future that like this could go, I'm thinking that this looks a little bit unhealthy and that we should be real, that these are not real relationships. both parties benefit from this community, but we need to set boundaries. But what if in the future we just like progress and it becomes even deeper than it is right now? I should get some food and we can keep talking. Drink some water. And I'm not trying to heckle you. I'm just trying to I just have a different view. No, like, dude, this is the beauty of like community, you know? Nobody needs to always agree on everything. That's boring. We should be able to talk about things like adults and keep our mind open. Keep an open mind with other people without insulting each other. Oh man, I'm sorry, Hunter. That is rough. That is really rough. I'm very sorry to hear that. And look, I mean, there's a lot of like, that's something somebody else in chat was dealing with something similar. So I know it sounds, again, it can sound cheesy, but remember there's people that can relate to what you might be experiencing right now. We've seen a lot of similar themes come up tonight. How does one enforce pillow boundaries with a snuggly puppy? First of all, your dog should not be on your bed. Second of all, if they do, psst, psst, water pistol. Usually works better with cats and dogs, though. Advice on becoming a streamer, YouTuber, or content creator. So, my advice would be, don't quit your day job at the start. That's the number one first advice. And really carve out and dedicate time and have an idea of what you want to do. Because streaming and YouTubing are two completely different things. Live versus edited content, two completely different things. Also, I would say in the beginning, don't put all of your eggs in one basket. Try doing things across multiple platforms because that's just good for your discoverability. Also, whatever name you decide to use, before you start using it, try securing your name across multiple platforms from the start. And make sure that your name doesn't like conflict with some mega corporation that's going to just take your page down. That's where I would start. And then just try to find people within the communities that you want to be a part of. So is it a particular game or a particular type of content that you like, and try to collaborate with people. And that can be tricky because some people it can come off disingenuous in the start. So tread lightly when it comes to collaborations at the beginning, at least. Anonymous question will be our next one. Boat Snacks, thank you for the 5 gifteds. Toxic Shake, thank you for the tier 1. Machuca Live, thank you for the tier 1. Max Shane, thank you for the 4 months. Captain Nibblesworth, thank you for the tier 1. Desaurus, thank you for the 16 months. Thanks so much, you guys. Alright, I'm a 30-year-old and in a wheelchair, severely handicapped. Never thought I'd get in a relationship in my lifetime due to my handicap. Somehow found someone 2 years ago and still in a relationship with them. My situation now is I know that we are not compatible and I feel like we need to break up. I don't know what to do because she really does love me and accepts me fully with all my physical limitations. I'm having an existential crisis because I could be potentially throwing away my one and only chance at a relationship. Do you have any advice for me? Sorry, I'm trying to see if this relates to something else. Okay. That's a tough one. And that kind of mirrors a question or relates to an issue that somebody else in chat was having earlier as well. But it's hard to answer this without knowing more. But I would love to know more about why you think you're not compatible. 2 years does feel like a long enough time to understand if something is going to work or not. Like, you kind of think by then that you might know for sure if that is the person that is going to make you happy. But again, I'm the kind of person that if I truly 100% believed this was not going to bring me happiness and that there's no way for this to work out long term, I would try to find a way to overcome that and move on our separate ways. But it's really hard because of the way it's written. I really wish I knew more, like what part of the relationship is not compatible and why that doesn't work. And maybe are you dealing with some insecurities because of being handicapped that makes you feel unworthy, that you're projecting your own self-conscious into this relationship? Could that be the case? I don't know. It could be. Like, I would love to know more about that, but I hope whatever path you take, I hope it goes well for you, for sure. But I don't think it's ever fair to hold on to something because you're afraid of hurting somebody else, because it's also not fair to lead them on if it's not the right relationship for you. But maybe it's the former. I don't know. I accept your challenge. Still legal in Florida. What's up, Jaded? Combat shall resolve this misunderstanding. Not even dueling to the death, exactly. People duel on Twitter now. Oh god. Oh no. What's wrong with the dog on the bed though? Clearly you guys have small dogs. You've not had a full-size Doberman try to occupy your space. My turkey is right. I've tried everything. You ever get a headache from sleeping too much? Absolutely. That's the worst. Especially like when you haven't had enough, and then you oversleep. Ugh. Try two retrievers. Oh, I'm caught up. My croissant dog is small. His personality is big. Okay, guys. I'm gonna put a pause on the questions for a minute for advice time. This is a good comment, though. I think incompatibility is always present in relationships. The thing is how you handle those incompatibilities. That's a good point, too. We've got an anonymous anonymous questions. We've got, let's see, 1. These are really good too. 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, I've got 5 really good ones that are anonymous. I'm gonna, well, the first 2 I read were really good. I just want to scan through these 5 to see if there's anything that kind of relate to each other, just so I don't, you know, maybe I'll be able to address 2 things at once. So, okay, let me see. We did that. I asked if they could add more text. The user is trying to think how to do that. Kind of hard to verbalize in text about the wheelchair the person that wrote in that they're in a wheelchair and severely handicapped. Again, I'm gonna kind of go two-sided. Maybe you're being too hard on yourself and you have this insecurity that maybe they'll leave you. I don't know, like that's kind of what I'm reading into it, because if they really do love you, what is the opposite of that you don't love them? But that's also valid, you know, like you might not, and it might not be fair to lead them on if you don't. Okay, let me read these next ones. Okay, so let's scroll back to next anonymous question. How does one deal with extremely over-controlling parents? How do I establish boundaries without them feeling I am being rude? That's a tough one to answer, because I would naturally want to ask so many more questions. Like, you could be in a situation where maybe over controlling, there's a lot more to that than you're expressing. You know, you could be dealing with a family that takes things out on you in a terrible way, or maybe they're just completely closed off and don't really know how to communicate with you either. And unfortunately, in most places, you know, when you are dependent on your parents, you just gotta wait it out. You can definitely try. And I'm a big fan of like asking people questions instead of making statements. So maybe tell them very lightly, or write it out first, so you know you could think about how to approach a situation, but maybe write it out so you could plan what you're gonna say, because sometimes these things can become emotional and people lash out and say the wrong thing at the wrong time, especially if you're still growing and getting to know yourself. Like, I would say ask them speak to them in forms of questions. And I always start with, I don't mean to be rude, but I'm trying to better understand this situation. And that's how I would approach any situation with them. Not young, not old. So, okay. Not completely dependent on the parent situation anymore. Here's the other thing, okay? Sometimes parents are over controlling because they love you and they want you to do so good, right? It's true. But for us as the child, it can be overbearing and frustrating. And sometimes it's actually healthy to take a step back and maybe try for a while not divulging too much information. Doesn't mean lie. It just means, like, you have the right to keep some things to yourself. And then you can try little by little to open that relationship up more and more. But by first creating that boundary with them and saying, like, I would like to share this with you. I would like to share this with you, but I'm a little bit concerned that, like, you don't want to attack them. It's a really tricky situation, but you don't want to attack them. Like, I would like to have these conversations with you, but I'm afraid we might not see eye to eye, right? So you're not, like, placing the blame on them. You're balancing it out. That's the tough one, though. Like, but again, I think sometimes a little separation can do wonders as well. Even if you love somebody. Okay, context added. Oh, wow. Ooh, okay, so I'm gonna redact some of this, but going back to the question about being disabled and being in an unfit relationship, context has been added. Not to be insensitive, but they have extreme depression issues and familial issues. And I feel like my time is spent trying to make them happy. And most of the time it is to no avail. So you have no success in helping this person be happy. I feel drained emotionally. And at some point I feel like I need to focus on myself, but I don't feel like I can when I'm with them. That seems like an unhealthy codependency. And that is a very difficult situation you found yourself in, for sure. And I think you have to ask yourself the question, like, do you love this person to the point where you're willing to give them a shot and you want to work on it? Like, you want to see them happy and you would like to be together, but at the current state, it can't work. I think you've got to be honest about that and not in an accusatory way. But especially somebody that's dealing with their own family issues, like, having this conversation is already going to be difficult. But, if this is something that you could see yourself sticking with, if you think they can grow, I think you need to make it clear to them in a very kind of way that, like, they need to start working on themselves, and you'll be there as a support system, but you also need your own time. Everybody deserves their own time. Everybody deserves their me time. And if they're not willing to accept that, that is a one-way relationship. And that's when I think you could start looking and saying, like, yes, I'm going to miss this. And I might not have something else. But at the same time, you also deserve to be respected. And I'm sorry if I'm overstepping, but I would say, like, don't ever let them try to use your disability against you, because people in reactionary moments can use your own weaknesses against you, and that's a really ugly thing. And if they do attempt something like that, that's like a huge red flag. That's a huge red flag, and I would definitely move on from there. And again, I'm sorry you're having to deal with that. Solo Q Kohi, thank you for the sub. Scout, thank you for the 5 months. Roxas, thank you for the tier 1. Thanks so much, you guys. Really appreciate it. We are doing advice hour. You guys people always come into chat asking for life advice of all sorts across the board. And it's usually off topic, so we decided to dedicate an entire stream. This is not about me, this is about you. I've been approached by multiple people. This is another anonymous. I'm doing these anonymous ones and we're gonna be done because I said an hour. We've been on 3 hours now, but it's great. This is beautiful. I've been toying. Oh no, sorry. I've been approached by multiple people multiple times for a while. Her seeking something with me of a romantic nature. Even today on Valentine's Day, I was asked today, but I completely dismissed her advance. I wasn't rude, I just played it off as being clueless, even though I'm attracted to her on more than one level, and I would like to seek something out with her at some point. I've never made or reciprocated any advances. However, I know my time can pass, and I'll just be another face she doesn't glance at. Do you think she would understand if I told her I'm not in the right state emotionally due to my time in the Army as a medic and my experiences as a healthcare worker from the start of COVID up until last December? Wow. Well, thank you for being an essential worker, first of all. But, you know, that's a situation where you might want to just come off, not too try hard, but like next time you see them, or if it was in a message, I don't know how they approached you, if they approached you face to face or in a DM. But I would just say, like, look, I would be honest. If that's somebody like you like you said you are attracted to, I would just say, like, hey, sorry if I like brushed you off, but I'm dealing with some stuff right now. And you don't need to get into specifics. You don't owe that person that. That's your own business. You can keep it to yourself for now. But you know, maybe just be real and say, hey, I'm sorry I did that. I wish I would have I wish I could have told you on the spot, but it's kind of hard to talk about this, but I'm not really ready right now. But like, let's keep in touch. It can be simple. Sometimes we really overthink these things. And again, like, you don't need to, I don't think you need to tell her. You don't need to tell her why. She doesn't need to know why. That you can save for later down the line if you reconnect. I've been toying with the idea of moving out of the country, starting anew. I graduated, can't find a job. My friends are gone. Nobody cares. The one thing I felt bonded me was my best friend, who I started crushing on at some point. I know, shocker. It was platonic. I never wanted something more, and she started drifting away. So what do you think? Without that anchoring me, should I just bite the bullet? Should I bother telling someone when I do? Look, if you are fresh out of college or university, if you or you just graduated, like, the time is now. I think this is the time. This is a perfect moment in your life to try something new. But what I will say with that is the grass is always greener on the other side. So you can't just run away from your problems if you got problems going on, right? We're in the middle of a pandemic. Everybody is hurting right now. Everybody, except the 1%, right? So, like, moving, and especially if you're moving out of the country into a foreign place where you don't know the language, you are going to have an uphill battle. But I think that for your own character, that's like a great thing. It's going to make you stronger. It's going to make you it's going to give you more opportunities in life. It's going to give you different perspectives on the world, and it will make you appreciate what you do have, even though you're saying right now you feel like this right now. That's, I think so many people are going through these feelings right now. But like I said, I think it's a great idea. I think this is a perfect moment to throw yourself in the ring. Go do it. No time is better, because the longer you wait, the more comfortable you'll become in your current situation, good or bad. But that being said, like, you will have an extreme uphill battle, especially if you're moving out of the country. A huge culture shock. And if you think you're alone now, that culture shock is going to bring in a little bit more loneliness, but you can find ways to overcome that. And also, like, another thing I picked up a lot from my own travels is, like, wherever you go in the world, you're going to find expats from your country. So you like, you know, you might end up moving out of the country and then still find people from the States, but like those people just have some similar interests as you, and you're going to end up with them and have a great friend circle. I mean, that is a potential. I'm not saying it will happen, but there's a potential there. But should you tell somebody? Yes, you should tell people. Don't do it as a, like, fuck you to the people in my life, you don't care. Don't be that person. I know it can be really easy to think that way, but sometimes, you know, the more negative we stay in our train of thoughts, the harder it is to overcome negative life situations. You gotta think more positively than that. Because the more negativity that is in your mind, the sicker you become. And that is both physically and mentally. There are studies that have been done on this. Even, like I said, if you got to trick yourself some days. But yeah, I would tell people. So, like, this is what I'm doing. And I hope you support my decision. That's it. I am. She, her, how do you answer? Okay. This is. Okay, I'm gonna rephrase this. I'm a girl by curious, but I am interested in asking a guy if I can top them and still just be friends. I want to top, but how do I ask if I can, and how do I best handle asking? So, kind of related to a little something that we touched on earlier, which is your interests are lying in a category that makes a lot of people uncomfortable, and a lot of people are going to have a sense of moral superiority to you. And not only that, but a lot of people in general are not comfortable talking about things that are untraditional in nature. They even get defensive. I've been there. I've tried. So it can take you know, it's gonna take an open-minded person for sure. And you're gonna get people that are just like, nope, not even a pinky. But that being said, you know, maybe try talking to other friends and asking people around, like, if they know somebody, because yeah, like, from what I gather, you're not interested in an actual relationship. So in a way that could kind of make it even more difficult, like, you're wanting something just clean, consensual, where you don't need any emotional baggage. And again, going back to like being a woman, that can be even harder to seek out. While like being safe, right? But yeah, I would maybe start with asking friends and friends groups, like if they know anybody that might possibly be interested, and then kind of take it from there. The Real 2 cents worth, thank you for the tier 1. Natural Lights, thank you for the tier 1. AH McFly, thank you for the tier 1. Alka, thank you for the sub. To Segoy, thank you for the 17 months. Thanks so much, you guys. I really appreciate it. Solo Q, thank you for the sub. I don't remember if I said thanks. If I did, thank you again. There's an app for that. Usually that's for... The last time I checked, that's for men. But, like, so, here's the thing. Women can tend to shy away from apps in that regard because we more often than not have to worry about our personal safety. So I can understand that, like, apps aren't always, they're not always the greatest solution. But I think finding communities are IRL, like where you can actually vet people, are a great solution. But there are also like communities you could find online that are local that, like I said, in regards to the other question, sometimes you'll find people within those communities that are like more honest and communicative than the average person you're going to meet on a day-to-day basis. Okay, so a little bit ago, I announced that these were going to be our last few questions, these anonymous questions. So I'm on the last one, you guys. I'm really sorry if I didn't get to your question. I thought we were going to do this for an hour and then like go into games. And we've been doing this for 3 hours, so I think we could call this a success. I think it's beautiful. I love that everybody is feeling like confident enough to talk about things, because again, like we see how many questions people had that sort of overlapped each other's, that overlapped other questions. So it really shows you that cheesy line that, like, you know, you're not alone. We could feel alone, but there's always somebody that can relate to what you're going through. So this is the last one. I just turned 36. I'm 6'2" and still a virgin. Supposedly women dig tall guys, yet I get little to no swipes on dating apps. With COVID happening, I'm unable to go out because I risk getting my family sick, as they have autoimmune diseases. I'm afraid I'm getting too old to be dateable, and with no experience, I fear that I will be a virgin till the end of my life. Also, hiring... Yeah, I'm gonna skip that part, but I got you. I have morals, so that's out of the question. Any advice on getting more experience or more responses from dating apps or what? So we did have... we did have like a dating app question earlier, so I'll kind of address that again. But first of all, 36 is not too old. Don't worry. Don't worry. There is no too old. I do think we're living in unprecedented times, not only because of the pandemic, but like your age, you saw the world before social media, and now everybody is dependent on social media. So I think that has just created a lot of unhealthy expectations for people. Don't be afraid of esports. So any advice on apps? So aside from apps, like I'm just going to ignore the apps for a second. I would love to know more about your situation. And if you found yourself in this, if you found yourself here because you were truly waiting for the right one, maybe you grew up in a really religious household, So you were like waiting for that perfect thing and you didn't find it. I would love to know more because that makes it really difficult to answer, but here's what I will say. Here's what I will say. Do not settle with the first person you have sex with. That is an awful idea, okay? Awful idea. I think you got to get it over with. And then seek out whatever it is you want. Like, do you want a relationship? Do you not want a relationship? Relationships, like I said, are not for everybody. Yeah, use protection. Absolutely. Absolutely. Don't just go decide to get in a long-term relationship, or don't move in with somebody right away either. Oh God, don't do that. Okay. So there's a lot of things you gotta look out for. Yeah, ask yourself.
Excellent stream, Sasha.
Ask yourself, like, what are you looking for? Aside from the obvious, right? But I would say just like, get it out of the way. Just get it out of the way. But what makes it difficult though is that you are saying, like, clearly you have a tight family, so you don't want to get your family sick. But, you know, maybe it is time you step outside of that familial unit for a while and say to yourself that you're going to focus on yourself. Like, hey, can you go a month without seeing your family? To do something for you and not just for them. I think that's fair. First encounters are like lawsuits. Some settlements are the sweetest victory. Sometimes settlements are... So I think you've got to get this uncomfortable thing that you're worried about out of the way first of all. And then decide what it is that you're seeking in your life. Because you, again, like, you might not want relationships, and that's fine. My first advice would be to, like, just step outside your comfort zone a little bit and be okay with spending a little bit of time away from your family. I hope that everybody has been able to get vaccinated, and, you know, you can be in a situation where you're not face to face with them. Like, give it a few weeks. Try, get yourself out there, do things that make you uncomfortable, make mistakes, learn from those mistakes. Some people are late bloomers. So get out there, create some separation so you know that, like, after you've gone out, even if it's been unsuccessful, that you've given yourself a gap between, okay, I've not been exposed to COVID. It's been a few weeks now, I can see my family again. But I think you owe that to yourself, because clearly this is something that's really, really bothering you. And in terms of dating apps, like, that's also a tough one. We talked about this earlier on stream, but with dating apps, there are all sorts of dating apps, right? And maybe, who knows, maybe you are, like I said, I would love to know more context, because if you're maybe religious and that's how you found yourself in this predicament, like, there are apps for that. There are apps for that too. But still, I wouldn't let your belief system dominate your life choices in terms of, like, this is what my religion tells me I have to do, and therefore I'm going to do it. Like, and what I mean by that is, please just don't settle with the first person, because that could just bring you more troubles in life. That's really what I mean by that. But yeah, there are dating apps everywhere. All sorts. There are even apps where, like, the women take initiative for guys that are a little bit more shy, right? So do a little research first, see what fits your particular situation the best. And then in terms of a first impression, vanity-based approach. Like, what do you put on your dating app? From a vanity perspective, first thing we said is your first picture should be a full body picture. Don't do a selfie, an actual picture. If you had crappy lighting in your house, go outside and take a photo with the sun kissing your face. You know what I mean? Don't take a creepy photo with the light shining up here or backlight on you, right? Like, get a normal picture. If you're uncomfortable, stage it. Who cares? First impressions, right? Like, have somebody take your picture and just twirl in circles and laugh. Like I said, people have unrealistic expectations because of social media these days. But do it. Who cares? It's your profile. Everybody wants to present the best version of themselves, whether it's online or IRL. So, first picture, no selfie. First rule. Make sure it's well lit. At some point, not in your first 2 or 3, at some point, have a picture with other people. That's fine, but don't put it in the first few pictures. Then, now this is going to be my perspective. I don't know if it'll suit you. But maybe you want a woman to, or a man. Again, I don't know your situation. Maybe you want a person to strip you of your virginity consensually. Put it in your bio if that's your case. Like, there can be people out there that are like, this is interesting to me. I want to be that person. Don't be afraid of that. But again, without full context, it's hard to know like what exactly you're looking for. But I hope it goes well for you, and don't worry about the age. And then my last advice would be like, again, I know you're dealing with a particular situation with your family's autoimmune disorders, so it's harder for you to get out. But I would, again, once again, I would say, like, get out. Create some boundaries for yourself and get outside. And like, as I said earlier to questions relating to dating advice, like, do activities that relate to your interests. That way you're finding people that also share those similar interests. Hopefully you're finding. Southern Trees, thank you for the sub. Tigger redeemed a VIP badge in the ore store. Uh-oh, I gotta enable that. Biome Badil, thank you for the gifted sub. Nano Engine, thank you for the sub. Coco DZ, thank you for the sub. Kitsu Pants, thank you for the tier 1. Ekura LV, thank you for the sub. Kalt Koenig, thank you for the sub. Alka, thank you for the sub. Thanks so much, you guys. I really appreciate your support. DL, thank you for the 420. This Clone Wars. This is satire. If you want to end on a softer note, you can skip this if you're going too long. You know what? I'm gonna read this because I want to bring people joy tonight. I'm gonna read this in a second, but before I read it, I'm going to say this has been an absolute pleasure. I'm sorry if I didn't get to your questions. I really try to answer as thoroughly as possible. Clearly we need to do this again, because I thought this was gonna be like tons of shy people just like not saying anything, but we got a lot of people asking questions, so we'll definitely have to do this again in the future. This was beautiful, you guys. Michael Angelou, thank you for the tier 1. Welcome to my stream. Yeah, the anonymous section really helped a lot. We are done taking questions, though, for the night. And thank you to the mods for holding it down, of course. Yes, yes. Clearly, we need to do this again, you guys. Once again, I'm sorry if I didn't get to your question. I know some people were still typing a quad, and then typing stuff in chat because maybe they came in after I announced it. But I also, look, talking about appreciation. Thank you, everybody, for being adults and grown up. And, like, I think this is a great balance of serious questions and people dropping sarcasm to keep us grounded and make us laugh, and jokes. I think it was really beautiful. So thanks for being nice, chat. Thanks for not shaming other people. Thanks for not going nuts on the mods. I think this was really beautiful, and this is the kind of positive interaction that we should see more of. Filio, thank you for the sub. Welcome to my stream. AJ Wilson, thank you for the 9 months. Okay, so to top it off, to end this, you guys, I'm gonna bring some more laughter. I'm hungry. Now we know what it's like without the plebs. Okay, we're gonna do a funny snippet to make people laugh. Okay, I swear Quad did not write this, even though it sounds like he did. When the one that I love and I were captured on Geonesis, I know I'm butchering that, I'm sorry. Geonesis. When the one that I... Oh, dang, hold on.
Uncle,
this is gonna be a long one.
I have a question, and I would really value your insight and opinion. If you made the tastiest, smoothest, and fastest and most evenly cooked omelette ever in your brand new all-clad D5 specialty egg pan, would you tell people about it?
Heck yeah, I would tell people about it. New pans and new kitchen gadgets are so exciting. Thank you for the 420, Mr. Frosty. Okay, let's start over, okay? When the one that I love and I were captured on Geonesis. When the one that I love and I were captured on Geonesis, believing we were going to die, she confessed her romantic feelings to me. After this, we could not deny our romantic feelings for each other, so we secretly got married on Naboo. We had a very romantic relationship. However, our relationship was sometimes strained due to myself being away for long periods, as I was a general within the ranks of the Grand Army of the Republic, fighting in the Clone Wars. Despite this, she was pained by these long separations. She endured this hardship with silence, patience, and strength. Knowing and understanding fully of our respective responsibilities and the magnitude thereof, she had much faith in me and my celebrated skills, yet still worried for my safety. What advice can you give? Geonosis. I swear to you, Quad swears to you guys he did not write this. That was beautiful. You know what? Anonymous, I don't think you have anything to worry about. I think it's a beautiful relationship you got there. You should consider yourself lucky. It's normal for her to worry. That's right, just don't go to the dark side. Baka Oni, thank you for the tier 1. Welcome to my stream. That was so good. It was hilarious. Once again, you guys, I'm sorry if I didn't get to your questions. I accidentally, I didn't accidentally. I said on stream that we were done taking questions, but I didn't type it out to the mods, so I'm sorry about that. So Quad might have taken some of your anonymous questions, but we won't be able to get to those tonight. Apologies for that. But thanks again for hanging out. Thanks for all of your questions, and hopefully other people also, you know, took something positive away from this. I'm gonna... Oh my god, it's 10:30. I'm gonna go eat. I had a long day, you guys. I had a super long day. I'm gonna have another late dinner. Hopefully the stuff that I'm dealing with will be done after this week. So tomorrow, Tuesday, no stream. I will be streaming Wednesday because I'm doing a co-stream with Ariel Jade. And then no stream Thursday. And Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, I usually stream. But because this week was all over the place and I'm still trying to finish some other off-stream stuff, I might need to take one of those days off. I'm just not sure yet. So I'll let you guys know on Discord. If you're new here, you can check the announcements channel on Discord for all schedule updates, and also check the pinned messages on announcements because important stuff goes there. I also have a new subreddit. You can see it on the screen right there. r/Sasha, the only official subreddit of mine. G Fuel is 30% off right now, by the way, this week, if you use my code. So use my code GRAY on your next G Fuel, by the way. They gave me a few extra days off for the week. We're gonna raid Fluffy Lives. I think he's still playing Lost Ark. Check it out. Thanks everybody once again. Thank you for the support. I will see you on Wednesday. Clearly we gotta do this again. And hopefully see you guys on Discord later too. Let's raid Fluffy. Oh, it says Fluff. Whoops. Let's see. All right, raid is ready, you guys. Have fun. Be nice. Hit him with the hype and RSF emotes when you get to his chat. I will see you guys on Wednesday. All right, bye.